The mark of a truly great expansion pack is when, after you've played it, you realize you could never go back to the original game again. The expansion pack has just added way too much good new stuff to the game that you already loved for you to ever think about, the days of playing without these additions. And Frozen Throne takes everything that was good about Warcraft 3 and basically adds to it and makes it better. That includes everything from the single-player portion of the game onto the online multiplayer portion over Battle.net. There are numerous new units, there are new heroes, there are some really great-looking new tile sets. There's even an expanded map maker scenario editor for those inclined to try to make their own maps and missions and things like that. Really, this is just a fully featured expansion pack with much more content to it than most full games would even bother to offer. And it's just a suitable follow-up to a game that was really, really great to begin with. It's also the next in Blizzard's line of similar such expansion packs, including Brood War for StarCraft and Lord of Destruction for Diablo 2. And these expansion packs have all been marked by the fact that they didn't just add new content to the core games, they added some real depth. They made the core games even better. So even though it's a year after the release of Warcraft 3, now the game is better than ever thanks to the Frozen Throne. The Frozen Throne offers a total of 4 different single-player campaigns. The core campaign continues the story of Warcraft 3 right where it left off, essentially with the banishment of the Burning Legion and the renegade half-demon Illidan and the Death Knight Arthas kind of still on the loose and trying to gain control over this kind of war-torn world. You'll get to see the story directly from these characters' perspectives as well as the perspectives of many others, and first you play from the perspective of the Night Elf Sentinels and then the remnants of the Human Alliance and finally the Undead Scourge. Much like Warcraft 3, the story in the Frozen Throne is told through lots of really good voiceover and lots of kind of in-mission cutscenes and between-mission cutscenes that show kind of what's going on with these relatively complex characters and how they're trying to go about, succeeding in whatever strange goals that they have that are always, opposed to all the other characters. Your role in everything is interesting because you do get to play both as and against pretty much every single main character in the game. The problem is that there really is no central protagonist to the Frozen Throne, so you may often find yourself wondering who exactly you're supposed to be rooting for. Really, the main issue may be that none of the characters are entirely likable, unlike, say, in StarCraft. In the Frozen Throne, all the main characters just have kind of a sort of a dislikable quality about them, whether because they're just naive or whether because they're despicable in some way. So they're complex in that regard. There are nice aspects to them. There are also aspects that you just kind of shake your head at and wonder why they act the way they do. But since there's no one to really latch on to, the story can feel a bit unfocused. And also there's just much more build-up than actual kind of climax and resolution to this story. So, if you're familiar with how Brood War kind of left you hanging at the end, the Frozen Throne does kind of the same thing. Then again, the fact that you could criticize this story for, these sorts of relatively complex issues speaks to the fact that the story, by and large, is much, much better here than in most games. The orcs don't figure into the main campaign at all, but they do get their own kind of bonus campaign. You actually play from the perspective of this half-ogre Beastmaster character who happens upon the orcs who've settled a new kind of homeland, and you're helping them out to accomplish various tasks. But this campaign doesn't play at all like standard real-time strategy games because you don't control resources or anything like that. It plays a lot more like Diablo. You're just running around, going in different directions, going on various quests, fighting a lot of enemies and kind of doing some backtracking, getting better items. It shows how much flexibility there is to the Warcraft 3 game engine and how well it can handle types of gameplay that you maybe wouldn't expect. At the same time, this campaign isn't quite as well balanced as the core campaign missions, and it kind of gets pretty easy pretty quickly. And as you have to backtrack back to base, enemies will respawn, They'll be no match for you, but it can be kind of tedious to slog through them. But this still makes a good, interesting diversion, and Blizzard promises more where this came from. As for the core missions, they're really just inventive and represent literally, the best example of real-time strategy mission design to date. They just always keep you guessing, and Blizzard realizes that, if people really want the standard formula of build up your base and attack the enemy, then you could just play multiplayer or a skirmish. They don't really make you do that much of that sort of thing in the campaign. Instead, these campaign missions always have an interesting twist to them and really keep you guessing from one to the next. So really the highlight of the campaign isn't so much the story as just seeing what sort of interesting new mission you'll have to work with next. The main additions to the gameplay itself obviously come in the form of the new hero characters and the new units. These make for meaningful additions to each of the 4 main factions of Warcraft 3 and really kind of fill the gaps. A lot of the new units represent sort of counters to some of the common and most popular tactics from Warcraft 3. For example, some of the units are used to directly counter hordes of spellcasting units, which became popular over the course of the last year. Also, there are new structures that you could build in the early game that will slow down heroes that come stomping into your base. These new defensive structures let you counter some of some of the most popular tactics. So these things don't fundamentally change the way Warcraft 3 plays, but they really add complexity to every stage of a match and just give you a lot more units to work with, a lot more strategies that you could try to own and try to adopt against various types of opponents. Over the course of the last year, Blizzard has also fine-tuned Warcraft 3 in general and has adjusted the balance and improved little aspects of the interface, basically taken a game that was really, really great to begin with and polished it up to near perfection. So things like the supply limit and the upkeep system from Warcraft 3 have been loosened up a bit, and these are sort of concessions for players who've become very experienced at Warcraft 3, but at the same time, beginner players, will find that the game just plays extremely well. Other cool new aspects to gameplay include the ability to recruit neutral heroes. So not only does every faction now have a 4th hero, but there are also neutral heroes available on some maps, so you could recruit these guys instead of your own guys and really keep the opponent guessing that way. There's more to do with the neutral structures in general now. You can even recruit ships in some levels, so the naval combat from Warcraft 2 is back in this expansion pack. There are many more neutral units both to fight against and to recruit. There are some entirely new factions that you'll fight against and as during the single-player campaign that figure less prominently into the multiplayer. So really, there's just a whole lot of new stuff. You're not going to go a Warcraft 3, the Frozen Throne match without seeing a lot of this new stuff come into play, and already the new heroes are very popular on Battle.net. People are experimenting with some of these new support units and things like that. Battle.net itself has been greatly enhanced. There's now the ability to form clans. If you have, at least 9 friends willing to partner up with you, you can kind of form an association and battle against other clans and have your own kind of rankings internally and try to compete on the clan ladder and things like that. You could also set up automated tournaments, with qualifying rounds and that sort of thing, and really Battle.net still is by far the best way to play real-time strategy games online. It's just really outstanding, and the best option probably remains the arranged teams mode, where you and a friend or two can quickly hop into a random game against hopefully similarly skilled opponents and tries to match you according to your skill level. You're guaranteed to find opponents at all hours, any day of the week, and the experience is as fast and as smooth as ever. Matches really don't last longer than 30 minutes in general, and the way Blizzard has adjusted the balancing makes it so that even the very early game is totally action-packed, and there's just never a dull moment. So it's really very simple. The Frozen Throne really is a must-have for anyone who likes Warcraft 3. It just makes that game significantly, noticeably better, and makes Warcraft 3 a better game today than it was even when it was first released. It's really impressive how well the game is held up during the last year, and how this expansion manages to completely revitalize it. And just as people continue to play 1998's StarCraft and 2000's Diablo 2 today, it's very easy to predict that people will be playing Warcraft 3: The Frozen Throne for years to come, thanks to the quality of this really impressive expansion pack.